Hello, my name is Frank Christensen and I'm the coordinator of officials for IFAF in Europe. This is the fourth of 6 training tapes dealing with false starts. Today we're looking at specifically quarterbacks and what it looks like when they commit a false start. These days typically they're in the shotgun, so we'll be looking at the lean back, at the arm chuck, and also talk about the head bob, and deal with how we're going to catch these and talk about the mechanics and the philosophy about who should see this and how we want to handle these situations. But before we get to the game film, let's have a look at the rulebook and the MOFO to see what they have to say on this topic. In the rulebook, we go to Rule 712 dealing with false start. Each of the following is a false start by Team A if it occurs prior to the snap, after the ball is ready for play, and all players are in scrimmage formation. 1. Any movement by one or more players that simulates the start of a play. 2. The snapper moving to another position. And 3. A restricted lineman, according to Rule 227.4, moving his hand or making any quick movement. As for the exceptions, 1. A. It is not a false start if a Team A lineman immediately reacts when threatened by a Team B player in the neutral zone. B. It is not a false start if the snapper takes his hand off the ball, provided this does not simulate the start of a play. And then 4. It is also a false start when an offensive player makes a quick, jerky movement before the snap, included but not limited to A. A lineman moving his foot, shoulder, arm, body, or neck in a quick, jerky motion in any direction. B. The snapper shifting or moving the ball, moving his thumb or fingers, flexing his elbows, jerking his head, or dipping his shoulders or buttocks. C. The quarterback making any quick, jerky movement that simulates the beginning of a play. And D. A back simulating receiving the ball by making any quick, jerky movement that simulates the beginning of the play. And finally, 5. The offensive team never coming to a 1-second stop prior to the snap after the ball is ready for play. This is an illegal shift that converts to a false start. In the MOFO, we go to section 3.2 definitions. Examples of conspicuous fouls that should be called, even though they might otherwise be disregarded as not serious, include F. False starts by a back, tight end, or receiver. In section 3.3 non-contact fouls, false start says, movement by an offensive player is not a false start unless either 1. He moves one or both feet, 2. It is sudden, or 3. It causes a defensive player to move in reaction. If a running back misses the snap count, makes a sudden movement, and then stops abruptly, it is a false start. If he was generally going into motion, he wouldn't stop. And finally, if in doubt as to whether movement was prior to the snap or not, it was not. Don't be picky on this. Now, let's have a look at some game film. In this first example, we'll see the quarterback commit a false start, and what he does is very typical, especially on pass plays. So he starts to lean back before the ball is snapped, and that is may not be a jerky move as such, but it is a simulation of the start of the play, and just like a running back can't lean forward, the quarterback can't lean backwards. So this is correctly called, and a good situation or good example of why it's important for referees and center judges to have their primary focus in the backfield, because if your focus is too much on the ball or on the line of scrimmage on the offensive line, there's a tendency to miss this because it's not a flinch that you would normally be drawn to. So The advice here is to keep your primary focus at least in the backfield so that we don't miss these. There are really three types of typical quarterback false starts. The first one was the lean back that we saw on the previous play. The second one is the head bob, which you can see in the shotgun. We don't see it as much anymore as we did when the quarterback was typically under center. And then there's this last one where in this example it's not quite enough for a flag, but certainly enough for talk to, which is the chucking of the arms, the way he moves them forward as he is saying his cadence. If this were to be any more flinchy or jerky, then this could certainly be a false start. Here I'm okay with this being called as a defensive offside, but I would certainly talk to this quarterback, talk to his coach, and get him to keep his arms stationary or don't move them as much, because he is right at the border of what we can allow before this turns into a false start. And that was it for this training tape. I hope it made sense, and I hope you found something you can use on the field.